Și vă spuneam, am adus toate îngrijorările comunității internaționale despre operațiunea militară desfășurată în Gaza în fața ambasadorului Israelului la București, Ruven Azar. Iată prima parte a unui interviu în exclusivitate. Mr. Ambassador, good evening. Thank you for joining the program.
Bună seara, mulțumim pentru invitație.
To begin with, let me express my condolences for what happened to your country on the 7th of October.
Thank you.
At the same time, we're 2 months and a half into the retaliatory campaign that IDF is carrying in Gaza, and the death toll is grim. Over 20,000 civilians killed, among them 8,000 babies, children, not necessarily just babies. Over 52,000 people wounded, and very badly so. That's the toll provided by the Ministry of Health in Gaza, but backed by every single international organization that is present in Gaza, by the United Nations, and also by a very compelling study that was published at the beginning of this month in the prestigious magazine The Lancet, titled "There is no proof of inflated mortality in Gaza." My question to you, Mr. Ambassador, is at what number will you think that the killing of civilians is enough? That is too many civilians killed in Gaza?
Well, indeed, it's very tragic what is happening in Gaza, and we regret the loss of every single life. In our culture, there is special meaning for every human being, and the Palestinian suffering is indeed great. But the responsibility for that lies only in the hands of Hamas, because what Hamas has been doing, not only they have attacked us atrociously on the 7th of October in a completely unprovoked way and committed terrible, terrible crimes against civilians, women, mutilations, rapes. We have seen that all. But they are using Palestinians as human shields. So what you see in terms of the civilian toll in the Gaza Strip has to do with misfiring of rockets by the Palestinians themselves that are completely indiscriminate, have to do with the fact that they are hiding. Actually, they have embedded themselves in hospitals, in schools. And you have to understand, we are not in the business here of counting the victims. What we are trying to do here is to act according to international law. This is what we are doing.
Are you? Because
yes.
You've just said that the sole responsibility lays in the hands of Hamas to protect civilians.
First of all, the responsibility for the death is in the hands of Hamas. Our responsibility is to act according to international law.
You don't feel responsible for any of those 20,000 people killed?
Regrettably, what happens usually in wars is, despite the fact that you act according to international law, some civilian life will be lost. Now, when you have a situation... But
we have 20,000 people.
Regrettably. Look,
more than in every conflict put together in the 20th century.
That's not true.
It's a study that was published by an Israeli newspaper, Haaretz.
Well, that's not
61% of the civilian deaths in airstrikes.
That's absolute nonsense, because we had only in the last few years conflicts in the Middle East in which the civilian toll was much higher. And again,
namely,
this is not Syria, for example. So we are not here about numbers.
What is very... The Ukraine war has 10,000
give me an opportunity
10,000 civilian deaths in 2 years in Ukraine, for example.
If you'll give me an opportunity, I'll be able to answer you, okay? Even in World War II, there were more deaths among the Germans, the Nazis, than among the Allies. And nobody counted the numbers of civilians. What counted is the fact that the forces, the military forces that act, have to act according to international law, and that means 3 things, okay? The first is that we have to act without being pinpointed at the military targets. So we target only military targets. We don't target civilian targets, number 1.
Schools,
number 2,
hospitals?
Well, as I said, hospitals are completely protected under international humanitarian law unless they are being used as military bases. What happened, for example, in Shifa Hospital was that we had to target part of the hospital because it was used as a headquarters of Hamas. Yesterday, Only yesterday, we just discovered that El Maadani Hospital in the Gaza Strip was actually an entire hospital working for Hamas, and all the staff there were Hamas people.
All the international media says about the Al-Shifa hospital that the proofs provided by the IDF were inconclusive as to it being a proper operational center of Hamas.
Well, we don't have to prove truth to the international media. We know, we have the facts, we have shared them with the United States. We have shared that with the United States. The United States approved the information that we shared with them. And there's no doubt whatsoever that Shifa Hospital was used for military purposes. This is unquestionable.
Do you feel alone with the United States against the world in this war?
No. We feel a lot of sympathy. We feel a lot of support, not only in the United States, but also in the West in general, in Europe. Yes, there are demonstrations in some capitals in Europe, but the governments and the people, according even to the polls, they support the complete eradication of Hamas. And we're going to continue to do it, only targeting military targets, doing it proportionately, and people sometimes don't understand what proportionality means. Proportionality means that you use the extent of force necessary to neutralize the potential threat that emanates from the people that are firing at you. When Hamas says, including the leaders after the 7th of October, that they are going to use any opportunity they have to conduct these attacks against Israel time and again, we have a duty, not only the right, we have the duty to completely eradicate the military capabilities of Hamas.
Nobody's refuting your rights.
And the civilian toll is only as a result of their attempt.